hits again. Kevy, he's done it one more time.
The Chaos Storm! Claire jumps in with the Grand Slam! But in a three-man Moonfall, it's just lights out for Direwolves, just like that.
The showstopper. Look at the backline. It's getting melted.
Something right now, Sonic Wave is there, it's getting lower and lower. Oh! But they've stolen it! Mammoth have got the Baron! It's gonna fall on down, it's just too much damage! Rest in peace!
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. How's it going? And look, enjoy your bloody afternoon with me, with the others that are going to be brought to you in a moment, and of course with the LCO. We're into week 9 and it's pretty much the end of the semester, the end of the financial year, or the end of the group stage. I think that's the one I was looking for, but look, we got playoffs to get to and 2 more days of games before we get into the playoffs, so let's see what happens. But first, let's look back at what happened last Tuesday.
Target locked in mind. On towards Victor, forced to flash away. In jumps Scott. A flash kick as he falls on down, but his job is done in his team fight. It's a triple kill again for Lemus. Why would it not be? Rusty. Corporal's going to die off screen here. Kevy has no participation in this one. And their Shadow Surge misses for a second time in a row, but Puma's running to the hills as the rest of the team fall on down. Oh, Princess, what are you doing? He has no flash, but he just knocks him into the wall. Beaches to death before the fight can even really kick off. The lights go out. Appy jumps in. They try and snipe at a key target. Draco disengages away, but Appy then jumps in with Spirit Rush. And kill confirmed. Snipes it away. He raises to life. He's burning. He's jumped in to proc that Chrono shift, and it is over. So successful. Look at the confidence. This Gragas as Refury on the flank is dead. Could not use Undying Rage. And the fight breaks out, and Direwolves hit it with conviction as a double kill for Dante as he explodes into life with the killer.
And what a damn week it was last week, and we got one more for you guys here. But of course, to kick things off, we have Menulog Meal Time. And to join me on Menulog Meal Time today, it's none other than the 2 you'd expect. It's Skimmy, it's Rusty, and we're all here to have a damn good time. Do you want a Rust paper roll? Skimmy, I've got prawn. You like seafood?
No, I'm not a big fan of seafood. No, I was actually talking to Rusty before as I sort myself out. How unprofessional! Look at that. I was talking to Rusty before about sort of what more I could say to try and trigger all the Australian fans out there. I've already told them I don't like seafood, don't like your fish and chips here. Not a big fan of cheese, so we're going down the ladder. It's like a bingo. So how many more sort of trigger words can I find?
Pavlova. Is that Aussie or Kiwi?
I think we've had this
Wasn't
before.
that like a big argument we had at one point? Anyway,
Yes.
Yes.
if you guys want to argue, win a $30 voucher for Menulog, make sure you get those menu pogs in the chat. So you go on the run-in for a giveaway. Should be going for about 5 minutes or so, and then someone's got themselves that $30 voucher. You can get yourself $30 off your dinner for you, your friends, and your family. And of course, I expect you all to be having that watch party on a Monday afternoon for the LCO. If you're not, look, pick up your game. And look, just like that as well, I already know what I'm having for dinner, but what are you two ordering today? There's no specific scenarios, just what are we feeling, Skimmy?
I'm feeling like Mexican. Couldn't go wrong, I reckon, with a good bit of chili con carne, I reckon, actually. Once upon a time, when I tried to be a bit of a gym, enjoyer, to say the least. When you go along for maybe 2 months and then you suddenly, I've lost interest, lol.
Yeah, New Year's resolutioner.
Yes, it's the classic. I did a bit of meal prep, right? I thought I was going to be one of those cool kids, the chicken broccoli, got a little bit bored of that one. Made like a kg of chili con carne, had it every single day for like at least 5 days straight, and got very sick very quickly. So,
You're very sick? Why?
like sick of it.
Oh, right, not
But
actually.
I had to leave you on that little cliffhanger there for a second.
Yes, yeah, but you got me real good. What about you, Rusty? What's on the menu for this evening?
If we're ordering Mac, it's probably just got to be pizza today. I'm just copping that vibe,
Yeah?
Sometimes you just wake up and you're like, I need that. And like, if I had cold pizza ready from the night before, I'd be scoffing that down immediately. I'm having one of those days.
Nice.
Not bad. Now, absolutely no caloric deficit for you today, but what pizza are you ordering? Because I saw someone, they were bringing up that pineapple topic again. I don't know why they're doing that. What's the go-to?
You don't need to bring up the topic, do we? There's only
just
one
wanna know
right
what you
answer. But for me, I like as much meat as possible. I'm a big fan of chili, of spices. So I like a bunch of different meats and a bunch of different peppers all on top, and just try and survive through. You know, it's actually a good way to moderate how much you eat, Mac, because if it's too spicy, you can't eat too much.
Yeah, that's true. Although, you know, Jess and I definitely, you know, tried to test that theory last night. Hey, sorry, I'm on dog duty today, and the dog's here now barking at something outside. But look, that is it for the Menulog meal time. I've got to go give Pico her dinner and get this jacket off. But let's have a look at the bracket because, ladies and gentlemen, we know what the top 5 are here. So we're going into standings first, actually. So have a look at this. Chiefs at the top, Peace coming second, Pentanet in third, Order in fourth, and Direwolves in fifth. Now, talk to me. What can change here, Skinny?
Yeah, so there's no way that Peace can catch up to the Chiefs, so they are undisputed in first by round. Fantastic for them. Peace and Pentanet, second and third. They're going to be fighting for side select, as are Order and Direwolves, as Pico gets very excited at what playoffs could look like. So yeah, there's certainly a little bit of room for shifting. Side select isn't the be-all, end-all, is it though, Rusty?
No, I mean, side select's not everything. As the standings are, though, I think the most exciting thing is the improvements that we saw from some of the middle of the pack, right? Especially in the past couple of weeks. There's a lot of excitement for me, at the very least, Kimmy, behind the Direwolves. So lots to look forward to for this last week as well.
Now, look, that is, of course, where everyone's currently sitting. That, of course, can shift. But let's have a look at the bracket here. And we know roughly what these games are going to be going into the playoffs. So Pico's so damn excited to get into the playoffs, aren't you, baby? Now, look, round one, of course, on Monday next week, we've got Peace and PGG going up against one another, and then Order and Direwolves in that fourth and fifth game for elimination. Of course, the actual second and third and fourth and fifth themselves can swap around depending on how this week's games go, but this is pretty much how it's going to sit, Rusty.
Yeah, so just as a bracket preview, right, the most awesome thing about this week of LCO is that we get to see Order play Direwolves. I believe it is Game 4 today, so you actually get a playoffs preview in the first round. You've got a couple of matches between the top of the table as well, right? The fact that our Game 1, absolute banger, PGG Chiefs, potentially a round 2 match that we'll get to see in playoffs. So it's cool that we get to look at the playoffs bracket. We know it's locked, even though exact placements aren't confirmed. And we can acknowledge that they will be playing each other in the lead-up.
They certainly will. Now let's have a look at what games we're going to be sinking our teeth into to kick off Week 9. So, absolute banger to kick off the day. 6 p.m. We got PGG and Chiefs. And that one's already got me going, and I hadn't even read out the names of the teams yet. Second game of the day, we got Grav and Peace. Third game, Kanga and Mammoth. And then final game there between Direwolves and Order, which, you know, is going to be that game we're going to be watching for elimination next week. Of course, that'll be a best of 5. So this is really just going to test the waters, isn't it, Skinny?
It really is. I mean, this whole day, they all have their own interesting narratives. That's sort of what they can do. Chiefs and Pentanet, they battled the win streaks, right? Chiefs 14 wins on the go. Pentanet, the only other team, with 6 wins on the bounce as well. So really, they're going to try and see who can get across that finishing line with, you know, the quote-unquote perfect split. Gravitas potentially getting another upset over Peace, which is what 1 win out of the 2 they've managed to find. A huge result there. But across the board, some games that we can certainly sink our teeth into and close that split one with a bang.
Yeah, close it indeed. Now, look, that first game of the day, that really, that's going to be a good tester as well because, of course, PGG, I feel like they've built up a lot of momentum throughout. Split 1, Chiefs as well, though. Look, they've been undefeated for, are we up to 14 games in a row or something now? Is that what we're leaning on?
Yeah.
For Chiefs, yeah.
14, that's ridiculous. And they're hunting for that 15th, so you know that they want it. But of course, look, we've got a couple of storylines going into today as well. And it's the new picks from last week. So we did notice, you know, going into these patches that there were going to be a couple of changes in terms of what we'd see, but we saw a lot of new stuff, Rusty.
Yeah, so I mean, just going from left to right here, Cannon is a champion that we've been wanting to see for a little while, actually. I believe we've been seeing it in a lot of other regions. I'm an LPL enjoyer, so I have been seeing a fair amount of Cannon while I watch the LPL. So I'm just glad that that's starting to come up into the mix, and it's actually a top team, you know, like the Chiefs that are playing it and finding a lot of success with it. So expecting to see much more Cannon as that trickles down the league. Akshan, just a new addition almost as well. We've seen it sporadically here and there, but Akshan makes another return from a lower placed team trying to be super aggressive and have a winning top lane. So may see it again, may not. Nocturne was the TikTok Nocturne, if you remember that one. It was full tank, blue build, Nocturne from Appy. It is 1-1 so far in the LCO, and he is the only person who is willing to pick that one up. So if we see another Nocturne with a tank build, you have to expect it's going to be Peace playing it. PGG played the Rek'Sai as well. It was Belkan who played this one. It was a new pick. I liked the Rek'Sai actually in draft. Yeah. It's just that Rek'Sai is one of those champions that I feel like is very hit or miss, and it was in the game very hit or miss. They still won, but there was a couple of moments. And that was actually against the Cassiopeia Mac from Direwolves, who I would say, you go down the list of a lot of these champions. Now, Direwolves, Pentanet.gg are the two teams that have picked up a lot of these. And I'm excited to see how Week 9 comes into play, because this is the point of refinement, right? Where these new champions may be playoffs buff champions that their opponents have to consider.
What about you, Skimmy? Anything to touch on here? We've still got a few more champs that maybe pairs of champs that we hadn't seen a lot of.
Yeah. So the Zaya Rakan came as a combo, right, from PGG when a lot of those champions were banned away from Pride. He said, well, I'm not going to be that limited in my champion pool, so bust that one out and felt nice and protected. And then the Ezreal Karma seems to be a common pairing. Commonly see it on the red side and 1-2 as a response. Feels a little bit awkward if they do get picked apart. It's a very safe standard lane. Obviously going to give you a lot of poke, harass, and sustain to go toe-to-toe with people, but I'm just expecting, surely, yes, we've had the Kaiser in the bot lane, we've had every variation of the Kaiser too, but surely one team, if anybody, is going to be picking it in mid lane, and then we can truly become Faker-esque.
And look, you guys seem to know a lot about what was going on last week with all these new champs, and you generally know a lot about the game, but I'm about to put you to the test yet again, because it's time for the LCO Champion Conundrum!
Is today the day luck's with you? Is it now your life could renew? Then you must play the game, cause I have to proclaim life's a game of chance.
We're doing laughs this week. I don't know if you picked up on that one. So we're going to be playing some voice lines, which are all of the laughs of the champs. My core's actually really sore from laughing that loud. I shouldn't have done that. But of course, look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different, mostly laughs, a couple of other sort of weird sounds in there. You might call them a moan, you might call them a groan. I don't know. We'll see when they come through. But let's kick it off.
Ezreal?
Has to be, yeah.
Nailed it first go. Great. Congratulations.
Well, I think we said that at the same time as well.
I think we did.
Yeah,
I'll give
nice.
you 1 point each.
Nice.
Where's my pen? 1 point each. Skimmy, Rusty.
No kidding, and we've got a shot.
We do have a shot, yeah.
I wonder if Kitty would have got that like instantly as well. Anyway, look, we'll see. We'll check in with her when we check in with her. Now we've still got 4 more to go. Let's test you with laugh number 2.
Zoe?
Sounds a bit like Zoe, doesn't
Annie?
it? But it's not.
No, it's like...
Not Zoe, not Annie. Okay.
I think you're along the same, like the right sort of route. Yeah? That helps you at all.
I'm just so stuck on those two.
Is it a yodel? Like, can I...
No, it's not a yodel. I'll give you that.
I didn't
But
think so.
it is a female.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I've got like a half second of it. Can we play it again? No? Oh! Ah.
Who is that, man?
Who is that?
Lux?
Man, she gets played a bit. She was getting played a bit.
Doesn't sound like Sona.
No, it's not Sonar.
It sounds...
I think like top half of the Rift.
half of the Rift.
Yeah.
I'm
And
so
then
hard
sometimes-
stuck, man.
Sometimes like all over the Rift, depending on.
I was like a flex champion.
Role.
Okay.
Gwen?
Yes. There you go.
Gwen?
That was
Beautiful.
Gwen?
It was Gwen.
Yeah.
Really?
That's an odd laugh. Because
Hey,
it's...
don't judge. You didn't give it a laugh
okay, I'm
before.
not saying it's a bad laugh. It's just odd.
It doesn't
Odd could be
match what
good. I
I
like
thought the
quirks,
character
Mac.
was.
I like quirks.
Huh.
Quirks are good. All right.
Today
so
I
if you want to
learned.
get into Rusty's good books, be quirky, just like me, and he might like you as well. Now look, we've got a third laugh. It is a laugh, and then we're going on to the moans/groans. So we'll see what the third laugh is.
It's a very
It's like a
Lissandra,
bruiser. Or maybe, yeah.
like an Alawi.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Bang.
It was
Rusty on 3
yeah,
points.
that was the type of laugh that you'd be afraid of that person. I think if you saw them, you know,
Like a menacing laugh, right?
mm.
Yeah.
like alpha energy though.
I can't wait for Alawi to show up in Arcane, my favorite Netflix show.
Well, speaking of
Sell out.
Arcane, we've got a death crone, just so you know exactly what it is.
Okay.
Trend?
No.
Oh,
Darius.
Negative.
okay, we got it.
Olaf?
No.
As a big burly boy though.
He is, yeah. It's a big dog.
Mm.
Uh,
Not a dog though.
Renekton?
No, not a alligator rather. Has been known to dress up as an animal.
Udyr.
No.
That clue has thrown me more than
It's
anything
actually,
else.
Yeah, it's got me hard.
That got me.
hard confused.
Sometimes, like, you know, appears all over the rift.
Set.
No. might fly across the rift.
Brilliant soul.
Brilliant soul.
No. Listen.
No.
Quinn. No, it doesn't sound like Quinn.
No, it's not Quinn.
You gotta chuck it out there, bro. Man's trying to troll us.
Them dying.
Yeah. So you're saying it's a jungler?
No. Didn't say
No.
that. But they can kind of jump wherever they want with an ability.
Lee Sin.
No.
Can't be Twisted Fate, right?
No.
No. But like that jumps everywhere.
They can fly where they want.
This better not be a reference to like the ability teleport, because that would make me sad.
No.
Yeah,
no.
right.
Think of global ultimates. Get more specific. You got 10 seconds. They dress up like a chicken.
Azir.
No.
Galio.
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 There you go. Congratulations.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that's Galio. I wanted to say something about rockiness.
I didn't
and
think
then
that was
I
a
that's too
Galio
gargoyle-y,
sound.
you know.
Yeah.
But he does dress. He has that chicken one.
Yeah,
Whenever
he
we
does,
see people
yeah.
play him, he's always the chicken. So that was
Yeah,
what I was getting at. Anyway, look, we have one last moan. Have a listen.
That's an Olaf.
It's not an Olaf.
Sounding. Oh man.
Singed.
It is.
Darius.
No, it's not Darius.
Let's go Noxus life.
I'm just trying to think of something that's not too specific for a clue. Keep guessing for now.
It's not Warwick. It sounds too human, right?
I don't know. Let's listen again.
Scion.
It does sound very human.
I'm gonna say
But it's
Mundo.
It's not human. I can tell you that much.
Swain. Oh, it's not human. Okay.
Warwick.
Not Warwick. No, that's been guessed.
I know. By me before.
It's one of the first champions that was in the game.
Oh, one of the first champs. Here we go.
The OGs.
Rise Tryndamere. Tryndamere?
It's not Garen, is it?
Negative.
Sound like a Garen anyway.
I wish it was Teemo's death sound. That'd be great. I mean,
I'm just drawing
the
blanks.
death
Hey.
ones are hard.
Yeah, dude.
Well, this isn't a death one.
It's not a death.
No, this is just a groan.
You're having a laugh, aren't you? It's just a random noise.
It's just a random noise. Now look, he's pretty jacked. Strong.
Brom.
Hits the ground.
Oh, Alistair.
There you go.
Oh,
Congratulations.
okay. It's just
Beautiful.
My God, the fact they chose a random noise for Alistar. I feel like every other sound is more iconic on that champion.
This was hard.
Well, they got you good. They got you good production win today. Although,
They do,
look,
yeah.
you guys did tie like 3 points each because you both, you know, what is it? Perfectly at the same time synchronized
Got the
guessed
first one, yeah.
the first point. So big congrats
I'll
there.
take
Now, of course, that's it for the LCO Champ Conundrum. But that means that it's time for our favorite segment. You guys might not like it as much as we do, but of course it is from the fans. Make sure you jump on over to the LCO Twitter. Make sure you check what today's question is, and you guys need to be sending in the good stuff. So, do you think Top should be a 2v2 like bot? Want to see Timo invis even while moving? Ooh. Tweet us with LCO, and Talent will give you a debate on the controversial opinion. So it is your hot takes. So send in a hot take. We'll tell you if it's good, hot, cold. We'll give you the old thermometer of where you're currently going with that take. And I think we've got one or two. So we'll see who is trying to stir the pot already. And it's Flukos. Okay, people, this is why I brought it up before, Rusty. I saw this one. People that hate on pineapple being on pizza are just sheeple that hate things because it's cool. Skimmy thoughts. You didn't really have your say on this one.
Look, I don't mind. Like I've had a Hawaiian pizza in my time. I wouldn't go out of my way to have it, but hey, like if I'm at a party and there's a bunch of pizzas, like a huge selection, last one left, mate, I'm in there.
Okay, all right.
No worries.
Now, I think pineapple on pizza is fine. You know, controversial take. I don't care. I also put my shoes on the wrong way, according to you bloody idiots. Now, look, let's check in on the next hot take. What's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Warp Driver Caster. People thinking drafting is all RNG and teams have no control over it, giving themselves a better chance at winning.
Is
that a hot take?
I mean, it's a hot take, but I also don't know exactly how true the take is, right?
But
like, because people is such a vague term. Because if he was referencing pros, obviously I would disagree, but perhaps the average player just picks for themselves and doesn't think about comps.
Maybe
and
it's
so they make it quite bad for themselves, and so I agree.
Yeah, I guess
so. You know what I mean?
I guess in that sense, maybe, but there is absolutely no RNG about it because people are choosing. You know?
I mean, I'm not choosing to play with a Master Yi one trick, right?
That's
like,
it,
when I'm queuing solo, I'm not choosing for this brainlet to pick his one trick into a bad comp and lose at 15, right?
Very true. I get you. Okay, look, I'm just trying to be the controversial one here and try to make people
snuck
think.
out of me.
Yeah, look, I'm sorry, I'll stop playing Ye, Rusty. I know you told me before. But of course, we've got to jump on into the first matchup today. It's Chiefs and Pentanet. One you might have not had to wait too long for. So let's talk Chiefs first. Skimmy, what are they going to do to secure the W today?
Well, I imagine for them, it's just going to continue to do what they've been doing in the recent weeks gone by, right? Only one defeat all split long. It's not the perfect split, but it's very, very close to just being that. And I think the big thing that stands out to me is they haven't really had to reveal much new in the way of their picks. They've stuck the standard. They just rinse and repeat. You look at Raze, for example, it's been Jinx to Philios every single time. Same could be said for Drag, who's just switching between a Nautilus and a Tom Kench. So I want to see a team push them. I think PGG can. And maybe try and reveal a little bit of their strats before we do get into those best of fives.
Now let's talk PGG, Rusty. So far, they've been finding their feet towards the end of the split. But can they go toe-to-toe with Chiefs?
Yeah, we've seen a pretty good improvement from Winter. I think Praedyth and Rogue have started to find their footing as well, right? And we know what Belkan is. He's a known quantity, but that doesn't mean that you can beat that. Like, he is just too good and sometimes makes decisions you would never expect, even if you know he's the type of person to do it. For me, Yuri's the one that's been a little bit quieter the past couple of weeks. So if there was anything I would look at to say has to lift if you want to take down the Chiefs, I think it is Yuri. And one of the reasons for that is because Tally, his direct opponent, is one of the best nullifiers in the league in both draft and play. So Yuri has to go above and beyond for them to be able to actually get an advantage against what is the top dogs of the league.
And it's crazy, right? Because I feel like Yuri's starting to have some more impact in a lot of these games later on in the split. But what we saw earlier was maybe one or two big pop-off games, but then he kind of went silent for a little while. And a lot of the teams are still putting him as like one of the top two junglers in the league, one of the top two mids in the league rather. And no one's mentioning Tally. So I feel like today is a very good, I guess, tone setter to see how they're going to feel going into the playoffs. And also Tally for his chance to sort of make his mark and figure out if he is going to be in the conversation for those top two, top three mid laners in the league, which I feel like it doesn't need to be a discussion, but other players obviously have a more informed opinion. So, maybe I'm wrong. Gimme.
I think he's going to be quite content, not having that pressure, not that amount of focus on him. As Rusty already mentioned, he can play pretty much anything, right? That's the beauty of him having a top lane mindset or background, rather. What he can bring to the mid lane, he can be that sort of diffusal. Look, you can play the meta champions like the Aries, the Rises, the Zillion, whatever it may be. I can play that too, and some. So we have seen that Arthur certainly risen to the occasion, become a lot more carry focused. But they all can carry, and that's the major thing, right? So it's not this big burden on Yuri to say, I need to, go toe-to-toe with you, get multiple solo kills. I need to be linking up with Belkan and playing out of our mind. I think Chief's definitely content with where they're at right now.
That's very true. Now, we're moving away from the mid lane up towards top. Now, head-to-head, both these players have done a lot this split, but one more so than the other. Rusty, we've got some numbers here for you. Do you want to tell me why they look so similar?
I mean, they're going to look very similar because they're both playing almost the same champions in the exact same role, and they're both performing very well.
Yeah.
Topu is someone who has been, I would say, a stronger starter to the season, but Winter has definitely started to come into his own. Whether that is just, in fact, Coach Chippy's giving him those extra 1%ers in the background, we won't know. But what we do know is that the results are showing in game days. I would say that, realistically, they both have very similar champion pools overall. The 1 point is the third champion on both of their champ pools there. It was the Akali v Jace. They actually played these against each other last time Chiefs played against PGG, and Winter was solo killing him. So there is still that slight point of difference there. And to be able to say I solo killed, like a top 10 global solo kill monster in Top Moon is a pretty nice thing to put on the trophy wall.
Yeah, it's a pretty great accolade to have. Anything you want to touch on, Skimmy, before we move away from the top lane?
Yeah, the only other thing that I found really interesting is they are the only two players in the league that have played Kennen. So to put in 2 games, Winter are 1. So when you ask for a new champion, a bit of a spice on life, they said, we can do that. So they've got the Nard, they've got the Jace, they've got all those champions down pat, but that Kennen is always going to be rumbling in the background.
Well, look, I love hearing the voice of both of you two here, but, sometimes it gets old, sometimes it gets boring. So, fortunately, we have a 4th voice we can listen to, and that's Kitty. So let's bring it back in. How you feeling today?
Hey guys, happy Monday. It's week 9, so it's going to be the last week for regular split. I'm quite excited because it's my first time in the working with the LCO, and it's going to be our first split together, and it's coming to an end, so I'm very sad. But I'm sure someone who's excited to actually head into playoffs is Tally, so let's bring him in for the interview. So Tally, how are you feeling first match of the day? You said that you don't actually like being the last match, so what do you think about being the first match?
Well, actually, I woke up a bit earlier today, so I'm feeling... what's the saying? Like a little kick in your step? I'm feeling good.
That's great to hear because you are playing a very important match, well, at least for PGG. So both Chiefs and PGG have proved and have been deserving of their spots in the current standings, securing the upper bracket. So many teams have even predicted that this will be the grand finals for LCO Split 1. And do you think the results for this match will determine how LCO Split 1 finals will play out?
Definitely not. I think that we're both sides are gonna show their best that they can, but I don't really think that this match is all important because we really know next to nothing about each other. We haven't scrimmed each other the entire split. So we're both coming in completely blind about what the other team prioritizes and what we favor. So this is kind of just feeling each other out, and we'll get to know the real thing in the best of 5s.
We'll definitely know from the best of 5s, and having already secured first seed in the regular split, which team should, other than the Chiefs actually, which team should other teams look out for and why they shouldn't be underestimated?
I would definitely say Order. I think that they're coming back into their form. I think at the beginning they had a good showing, and then they went into a slump. And I think they're coming back into what they're good at playing, and I think they're gonna have a really good showing in a best of 5.
Well, I'm definitely excited for your match, Charlie. I'm gonna let you go and prepare. Best of luck, and hopefully we see you on the other side.
Thank you very much.
Little jump in his step, and you love to hear that going into this game because of course it is a very important one. Now, you guys at home, make sure you get Twitch points in, get the Twitch predictions cranking because Pico wants you to get him in for the Dare fan vote. Of course, you guys can let us know how you think this game is going to go. I'm so sorry.
Loving it.
But there is literally nothing I can do about it. Pico, stop it! Now
Sorry,
look,
I'm the same with my dog. The second there's a bird, man, they're lost.
Oh, That's it. There's literally a bird in the backyard on her grass, and she's the one that wants to touch grass today. Anyway, look, I can't wait to hear from you guys when you get your Twitch predictions in for the Dare fan vote. But let's have a look at how we think this game's going to go. Of course, I'm with you guys in chat, so you're making my decisions. But, of course, everyone going with Chiefs, so no one feeling like it's going to be a day for the underdog here, Kitty.
I'm only going to go against Chiefs when it's going to be Peace because they are the only team that's actually been able to take a win from Chiefs. So even though PGG has been looking really strong in the past few games, I'm still going to go with Chiefs just because I believe that Chiefs, other than Peace, are undefeatable.
Okay. Now, anything else you want to touch on for this matchup, Kitty? Because you haven't had your chance to have your say yet.
Well, we saw from the statistics that both, I believe it was Winterer and Tapoon have similar stats. They also have a similar playstyle. So I'll definitely be looking at the top matchup because we do know that Winterer is pretty new to the league. I believe he's played for 2 years, while Tapoon has a lot more experience. So maybe, as I believe it was Tally that said, Chiefs don't get to scrim Pentanet.gg. So maybe Winter can actually get a lot from this match.
Okay, very true. Bit of experience. Now, look, Champs Select is not too far away, but I want to know, Skimmy, why you've gone for Chiefs, and if you had to give a percentage here, how much would you give to PGG?
I'm actually going to be quite generous here. I think it's 60-40 to Chiefs.
Oh, beautiful. Now, that's exactly what I wanted. That's all I wanted because Champs Select's ready, and you can keep talking right now after the first game starts.
Beautiful. All right, well, let's crack on with this one. The very first game of Week 9, the final week. But a banger game to start things off with here. 60-40 in my mind. I still think it's very Chiefs favoured, but Pentanet have looked exceptionally strong on the rise. Ever since Week 6, they've been eclipsing a lot of these other teams in sort of their early game dominance, their goal difference, their sort of attention to detail on pushing plates and sort of min-maxing structural gains as a result. So I feel like if there is a team in the late stages of the split that could challenge, it would be Pentanet.
I mean, I would have said 65-35, right? So I would have been pretty close to what you went for anyway.
Sure.
There's always a chance. You know, Chiefs are the best team, of course, but this is meant to be one of the contenders. And in best of ones, anything could happen. So we get into this first draft here. I think it's fair to acknowledge that we've had a lot of target bans already so far.
Yeah.
The Tom Kench being taken away from Rogue is a curious one. The Vex from Yuri, it must be a champion that he's got a lot of practice on recently because I don't think the Tally would be too... Oh, I went to say vexed. Would be too perturbed.
I see what you did there.
We're struggling by the Vex pick. So it must be I thought it might be like a specific champion thing, like an Ari, but Ari's not banned and they're going to go for the Rise. So not so much the case so far.
I was very curious, talking about draft, sort of the direction that both teams would take to try and shut them down. We have seen various attempts from other teams, some teams going down the avenue of even 4 AD carry bans to really lock out a key player. Some have actually gone towards the jungle direction, banning out the likes of these Hekrims and Dianas and so on. So the fact that we've just got a little bit more specific, like the Vega, like the Zillion, definitely does set us up for success here. Volibear has been locked in. Ash now being hovered as well would seem a little bit early to take that one, especially not knowing what the rest of Pentanet have, and rightfully so. Switch to the Nautilus.
I think with the Nautilus pick here, you have an option for PGG to match it with something like it. Yeah, I mean, this could work. You could go like a Leona pathway if you really wanted to. Also, alternatively, you don't really need to pick a support here. I'd be very surprised if the Chiefs put any kind of effort towards support bans if there was a priority mid lane champion that you wanted to match the Rise with instead. That's definitely a possibility. But I think that going into the support, being matched here, right, saying we've got Jinx, we've got Rakan, we have a distinct advantage right now in this bottom lane. And we're also denying the Xayah Rakan potential entirely. The bans now, though, from the Chiefs probably going to go towards mids, where I feel like PGG can just go for 80 carry bans.
Certainly could, and it's not going to be a surprise if they do go in that direction. Zeri being removed, would you imagine to see a Philios? We have seen Draven thrown into the mix of things, but certainly the lethal tempo champions up and available still would seem to be the clear direction. Ari being denied as well, so big attempt now to try and limit what Yuri can do in this game. But it is interesting to see the Rakan come out this early on. 3 games so far from Rogue. He's undefeated on the champion, so will give themselves a nice way of engage combined with Belkan.
And the cannon's actually going to be taken away here as well. I like this ban, specifically from Topoon. He's been very comfortable on the pick. His teleports have been really good, but he's also been winning lane. with this Cannon. No matter what his matchup is, it seems to be that he does super well in his 1v1 with the Cannon pick. Has changed his runes to accommodate matchups and everything, so knows what he's doing. And this is definitely one of the matchups where Cannon has a very nice time against the Mini Gnar form and can just run away super successfully from the Mega Gnar.
I think it's an interesting discussion, right? Now that the likes of Ken and Gragas have been removed, does that mean that Nard becomes the most highly sought-after champion between these two? We know that both have rather expansive champion pools to draw from, so it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Question now goes to what do Chiefs lock in as their response, and what specifically is Tapoon going to try and answer that with?
I mean, Jace is still a pretty viable option, I feel like. Does quite well in the lane itself. Gnar doesn't really have a lot of kill threat, and you've got enough mobility if you choose to go for like the phase rush build to survive. I was just looking at what Raze was going to pick for the AD carry role, given that it's probably not a Tristana angle, and they've lost the option of the Zeri, and Jinx has been picked. You could go for the Aphelios if you wanted, right? Like Aphelios Thresh has a lot of value into a Hecarim. But the Xayah is more of like, if there's no Tahm Kench and you need peel, you can pick Xayah and just peel for yourself. It's one of those options which works super well into Hecarim ult, into the predictability of a Rakan ultimate as well.
Sure.
I think you would always rather be the Xayah in the Xayah v Rakan lane, and it's also super good into Mega Gnar. So I think that's super value here for the side of the Chiefs, and they've flexed their rise.
Certainly have. Sylas coming out as the last pick here. A lot of good ultimates to take away from Pentanet, you should just highlight, hence why that Xayah seems so good. At first, for Raze this year, only played 2 last year. Wasn't able to pick up any victories, but we do know the strength of the individual. PGG going to round out their composition with a Victor.
Yeah, they've gone for a scaling option here in mid lane as well. Sylas is one of those lanes that you'd think could punish pretty hard if they get a bit of jungle control, perhaps a bit of mid priority can really make some waves around the map. Sylas having a Mega Gnar ultimate to steal also is legitimately game-changing, and Rakan actually has an insane ult to take away.
Yeah.
Because your ability to duck and weave in team fights, right, be able to hit multiple people even without the grand entrance is still super high. So I like the Sylas pick, but the Victor into it is much more of a, like, I want to say a scaling option that is just ranged and can be okay in the laning phase, as the Chiefs are going to swap champions around, and we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, we have seen him before, right? Throw Tapoon into the mid lane if the matchup looks better between the two of them. That has been one of the strengths as a roster, drawing from all that experience from playing so many years, but just the flexibility in the roles they have.
We've also seen Sylas top lane, right? Usually into tanks, I think, of late, right? Like, one of the most common matchups was I think it was like a Sion or an Ornn, where it had the best time because it's a free scaling lane. I do feel like both Ryze and Sylas are very happy into Gnar, all things considered. I think Gnar maybe has a bit of a better time against the Sylas, but there's a much more health trading, where I feel like Ryze just wins. So they might be changing champions, and lanes, Skimmy. We're not actually sure.
Not too sure indeed. We're drawing back into history here for Tapoon. Hasn't played Sylas since all the way back in Season 10. So a chance for him to showcase what he can do in this one, no doubt. Shout out to OPL, and we'll get to see how this one does fare, because I do see a lot of strength in this scaling, as you discussed, on either side. But I feel like this game could, in some case, come down to the strength of split pushing, given that there are so many huge engage options there. Teams might be quite keen to try and break apart and find a numbers advantage.
And I was having a look at this a while ago now, a couple hours ago, and Xayah was picked a little bit more in patch 12.5. I think it is 7-1 as win rates go. So it is absurdly high, mostly played in the LCK, and I believe there wasn't a single build that wasn't lethality. Just a couple of small little points to keep in mind there, as Raze has picked up the champion.
Well, let's load into the Rift for the very first game of the day. It is week 9. Can you believe it? Split 1 already coming to an end. Playoffs just around the door. Chiefs, 14 wins on the go. And PGG, the only other team on a win streak to try and match them. Well, let's introduce Chiefs Kuden into the conversation for a nice little coaching interview to get this game started. Kuden, I have to ask, you know, PGG have been in such hot form recently. Do you see them as your biggest threat now going to playoffs?
Is he there?
Are you with us, Kuden?
Kuden, you there?
Minions have spawned.
It appears cannot hear us. So apologies to chat. I know you do obviously enjoy these interviews, but we will have to wait another day to find out that response. Bit of a caster curse, really. No interview, but we did see a first blood.
Yeah, lots of retrospection still to be had, Skimmy.
Yes.
You could say. First blood was going to go over towards Chiefs. Now, they basically did I want to say it's the most standard cheese that you can make in a competitive game. Most mid laners or champions who stand in that respective position right near the Raptor camp don't stand in the bush because that is the hardest spot to run away from if they try and invade. You stand out of it, which means champions like Silas, who can start E-level 1, can go undetected straight into the bush just next to them, and they line up the perfect engage. Very well played by the Chiefs to kick this one off with a juicy dub into the pockets of Arthur, who gets the starter jungle clear with a Ruby Crystal.
He does. A little bit more healthy, a little bit more happy. A chance to try and bully his way into this game once again. That was the big talking point, right? We have heard a lot of junglers, Arthur included, say, who do you look forward to versing the most? They've all unanimously agreed and said it has been Belkan. He's willing to take those trades. He's willing to invade and really test you to allow you to shine. So expecting another big battle between those two again.
So we can say official confirmation here as well, right? 2 minutes into this one, Silas is going to be the champion playing top lane. It is going to be the Ryze playing mid. Remember that both Chiefs solo laners have been top laners. They've also both played mid, so they can flex champions, they can flex roles easy as you would like.
Oh!
Nice hook.
He's hit that one, hasn't he? The
himself.
Glacial goes down as a result after. Raze is here. He's got the rep back, level 2. Not enough to lock them in place. But these hooks, already very early on, quite dangerous.
I think if PGG had more killer instinct, they'd probably out-trade Dragku there, because Raze wasn't even remotely close. He was standing on vision, right, just to the other side, and doesn't have X-Flash. But nevertheless, it is just a health trade that goes the way of the Chiefs. And as you can see, lots of poke coming out from those feathers already.
I like the idea though, right? He was trying to really min-max that one between the minion dying and the hook going out and preventing any kind of flash shenanigans. Be the case, however, but certainly early on here, we are getting zoned away from this wave. And I think what's been interesting for me, right, is we talk about the rise of PGG as a whole. I think a big part of that was the inclusion of Praedyth. Since, World War 3, he has looked a lot stronger right now. His stats certainly complementing that between him and Raze. They have the most kills of an AD carry. So certainly expect to see the aggression continue this kind of pace.
Now, both teams have a pretty good track on where their opposing junglers are. Belkan standing on a ward. Arthur walked over a ward in the tri-bush. He's going to sweep now. They know that they could be getting dove here, but can anyone help them?
Is there any counter backup? You can TP to this tower if he needs to. It's too late. It's gone. Dragku may just die for this one, but I found a double kill, and would you look at that? It's Raze with a double.
Yeah, straight into the hands of Raze of all people as well. Well dived by Arthur. Dragku, necessary sacrifice, yes. Gets hit by Rogue, who prioritizes the trade kill. Not so much going for any kind of survival maneuvers. Winter is mega. That was close. That all happens, Skimmy, because they see exactly where Belkan is, right? Like, even with the information that Pensanet.gg got, they see the Volibear walk through the tri-bush. They weren't prepared to deal with a dive, and if that were to happen, it's just winning for Chiefs because they had information.
Back to lane. The reset from the base. As a support, looking to try and help out in the mid lane before they do go back to that 2v2. Both meet each other in the river. Will not be able to find any key advantage. Both those mid laners desperate for mana, desperate for resources. They want to go back to base as well. An early start that's looking pretty strong.
Both have to run teleport as well here, right? Very thirsty for mana, like you just said. So they will respect each other. They will push the waves out. Supports actually roam mid just for the purpose of getting those free recalls off without the need for teleport, so they can continue to have those uses. However, Yuri chooses to use his, because he was the first to go back to base. It seems like Tally was able to get a little bit more of a push in. It means that the teleport is going to be missing for the mid lane of PGG, where it is available for Chiefs. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anymore that we'll see a teleport play, right? But it does mean that if you have priority in mid, you could roam somewhere and teleport back.
Could be the case. Tally going to get locked in place. In comes Rogue, buffs it nicely with the grand entrance, hits him with a little bit of healing, but there is no damage. The zap is there, but it's not lethal. Now Chiefs are hunting. Are they going to punish Praedyth on the reset? Arthur flashing across the wall. There's the hook, there's the thunder, and there's the kill.
Praedyth with flash ready was just CC locked into oblivion. Absolutely roasted by Chiefs. You try and make a play, They actually just do you one better every single time. Drake now on the cards, a level 5 Volibear. Drake, who saw these wards earlier, so he's going to clear them. And Tally, who just limped away with no health, had his teleport up still, right? So he's able to just get back to lane, full HP, misses almost nothing. Chiefs, once again, one extra step ahead.
Must be so frustrating for Predator to look at that one, right? The amount of vision they had in that river, feeling that he was safe. They have been claimed. It doesn't get any better if they go down to bot lane. Oh, 2 plates are gone, and same to Rogue. Dead and deleted, the feathers go out, the Realm Wolf is there, Dragon being shot, and they have managed to take out Arthur on this occasion. The Dragon was claimed by Chiefs. Out goes the Onslaught Shadows.
Huge.
That's a huge shutdown found by Yuri. The Victor scaling nicely early, and Predator finally gets himself back in the game.
Yeah, it's not just a shutdown, it's almost a full kill equalizer here. That is so important for PGG. They were starting to really find themselves pressed out of this game, but they get the level 6 on the Hecarim. Belkan has been quietly achieving this entire time, and we'll get to see what happens here at the Drake. Yuri walking down. They know something's up with a bot dive, right? They're seeing Rogue die, and then just along the way, they're, oh, Arthur's doing the Drake while they're also diving bottom. They don't just double down on one play. They split their resources. Belkan level 6 on that Hecarim's able to use the ultimate. Onslaught of Shadows in. Praedyth gets a killer as well, Skimmy. And Chiefs just try to do a little bit too much at once.
Yeah, and rightfully punished. Maybe feeling a little bit comfortable with the situation that was presented to them. We're winning across and certainly trading up on every single occasion. Let's just bite off a little bit more than we can chew. 80%. Believe that Chiefs should take this one out. A strong set of fan votes.
I wonder if all 80% of people that voted for the Chiefs would give a similar win percentage, though, that we did, right? 80% of people back the favorites, which makes sense, but do they all think it's actually like a open shut case? Or do they still agree that it's probably more of a 60-40 type of game?
But it has helped out PG immensely, bringing the gold back, as it was slowly starting to creep away from them from such an early stage on. Can't afford to give either of these teams an inch, as they have been able to take an absolute mile with it. Arthur going to redeploy onto the map, and from Drake to Herald they go. And we did see their playbook very early on onto the split B, go to Topoon's lane, find 2 turrets, open up the map, and win as a result. That has changed a lot in recent weeks. I'm very curious to see how they approach it into PGG, which have been the best team for taking first turrets and gaining map control. Yeah,
where does that aggression start to really go? That's the first time, just minutes prior, that we saw Belkan get super active onto the map. He's been tracked for the most part, and the one time that he was able to make a play happen was of the Chiefs making a play themselves. So if it's going to be retroactive or reactive gameplay, Belkan is just going to be happily farming in the meantime. There's something that he'll do a little bit faster, you would have to say, than a Volibear, who's pretty fast, but he's not Hecarim. And you can see that reflected already with a little bit of the jungle CS difference. Bot lane is really the place to look at, though. Above all else, Raze has most of the Eclipse completed in his item build, and Praedyth got a kill back, but is otherwise still incredibly far behind in the AD matchup.
Even more so now that you see that first Mythic item come through at 9:30 for Raze. He's got the Eclipse. He's going to go that Spell Slinger, if you will. I'm sure no doubt Miramana comes on through. Then you've got the Cyrilda's Edge later on. And it's just so much control from an AD carry position.
Tally just a good bloke doing his bit. Make sure that there's no shield on that Scuttle Crab for Arthur. Also threatening top dives. So the thing that we obviously aren't seeing happen, but what Winterer has to assume is happening there, is when you visibly see a Volibear and a Rise leave mid to run topside, you run away. You're so afraid that they're just going to dive you. A Volibear is one of the most terrifying diving champions in the competitive landscape right now. So is Rise with the pace that they leave side lanes, and they've done it again. Winter is calling for backup, Skibby.
Look how defensively he's positioned right now, right? No vision, but he knows. Mid lane is missing. MIA pings on the map.
This is a 4v4 in the making.
Big Splash comes across. Belkan is there. In jumps Tally as well. The hook goes out. The Dredge line knock it up to Onslaught of Shadows. It's being held on to. Patience is there, but will Belkan die? He goes across and Yuri picks up the kill. They find 2 as Chiefs answer back 1. The rocket from downtown does not connect, but do PGG still win this? So much sustain and durability, and ultimately PG do just that.
That's a good top laner right there, everyone. Just watch the way Winterer played that last series of minutes back, how he brings the team up with him because they want the Na to succeed, and how the Chiefs do something predictable, still think they can get away with it, and they were matched and measured by Pensanet.gg, who now find themselves ahead in gold for the first time in this game through just fantastic team fighting that the Chiefs chose to take.
For the first time in this game now, that puts PGG in the lead with the gold. Whilst the Eddie carries were loving life in the bot lane, firing up a storm, pushing more plates, getting some solo experience, the rest of the team may have just found themselves enough strength to try and even out that difference. Find that balance.
The reality is Raze is ahead, right? And they don't play towards Raze lane. The full Mythic completion versus 2 components, so it's now 3 components of the full item done. They choose to play towards topside, towards the Silas, to try and break that, perhaps for a Herald. We're seeing that Herald go down now. I think with that in mind, it is kind of meeting PGG on an even playing field, right?
Must be the case. Plates found mid, another found bot. Turret is very fragile to falling on down. Raze potentially teasing at the idea of going for a dive there. The rocket comes out to try and dissuade him from that one, but there is a potential dive attempt in the makings. Belkan's caught wind of this one. Jungler's in the area.
Praetor does respect, does use a summoner spell there though.
A bit of multiple fights though taking place in the map. Tally going in for a bit of a nice 1-2 trade. Trap goes down, Belkan still hunting. Ghost is not up and available. And I think the ultimate is only now just coming off cooldown for him.
Draco doing it for the boys, gets himself a Scuttle Crab, so 115 on gold into the pockets of the Nautilus. We take those. There's good pressure here this time from the Chiefs, right? Not choosing to go all in on making a play. Just going to play the numbers game this time, balance it out, push mid-wave after a nice trade, maybe go for the blue buff after this next wave. And just use the fact that Raze is ahead and winning 1v1 to continue business as usual.
Does feel like business as usual. If you're checking in with this one, you see him have a huge lead like that, and you're thinking, yes, it's going to be another Raze masterclass. But they will need to find strength elsewhere on this team. Both mid laners have no flash. Arthur does, and certainly could look to try and, once again, return to top lane to try and even out what is going to be a considerably large Gnar once Winter groups up. We talked about some of the concerns of the team fight, right? The amount of overlap between their hard CC, the lockdown key targets, and the importance of the Xayah for being drafted into this one. The rest of the team, though, quite susceptible being CC locked.
Yeah, the Xayah being fed makes it pretty difficult though for, for Winterer, for Belkan to really get active. Rogue is presumably just going to die in every fight if Raze plays well, because that engage is very committal. And if you actually look at team fighting as a whole, one thing that the Chiefs don't have to do, Skimmy, is team fight. The real truth here is that they have an insane 1-3-1 comp. If they really want to, they can play 3-2, right? They can have Ryze and Silas in the same lane, pressuring, both having the ability to teleport if something were to happen. And the 3-man unit that they have is pretty hard to dive. Nautilus can peel very well in a 3v3 or anything of some similar number value there. Volibear does have the ability to trade back super happily if you're trying to dive, and Xayah is unkillable, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs they've lost 2 skirmishes back-to-back, really. One real fight, you would say, out of the 2. Maybe they do start to reassess the game state and say, we're not far enough ahead to just force team fights. We can still comfortably split.
I think we picked up very early on in the draft, right? That could be a valid possibility, a strategy that they go into this one with, given the fact that PGG have that many tools to engage. If they break them apart, they can find a numbers advantage, they can play to the strength of what they've got in those side lanes. No doubt the Ryze and Silas will be considerable threats to deal with. Xayah being this strong this early on is always going to be the talking point at the end of the day. 2 Drakes found already, a 3rd has spawned, but Arthur is going back to base before he decides to commit to that one. As it looks like we're going to redeploy the map with that first turret falling down top side, or rather bot side. Top side is very fragile, and that will be how Winter answers back, but for the meantime, just 1 to Chiefs.
So just for Winterer real quickly here as well, Skimmy, because we're starting to see the completion of his item build more so than it was before. You would call this a variety bucket, but it's one that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, he's got a double magic mid and top lane matchup, so either 1v1 he'll be in is magic damage, which means it's extremely simple to itemize magic resistance and be fine. And Volibear also has a lot of mixed damage. So in reality, Winter is loving life right now. Straight into a Hex Drinker after the Merc trades. That's probably a Trinity Force build, but he could go for like a Wit's End afterwards as well if he wanted to. And he's going to be unstoppable in a side lane, which means that if Chiefs have a strategy of playing for sides, it's a lot harder to do.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. And it does beg the question, and I suppose going full circle on our discussion as to sort of what the game could look like post 15 minutes. Will Chiefs entertain the idea of hitting the split push, or will they say, well, we just need to include Raze into the mix of things? Last fight, 4v4, he wasn't there. He's our strong point. So, would you look a lot stronger with him there? Rogue is going to get punished. He's missed his W away. The hook goes out. The follow-up is there, but the damage is not to take him down between those two Bruiser boys. He's received a fair bit of punishment, and we'll have to go back to base.
Yeah, again, prime example of a fairly fragile champion that is very low on experience. And when it comes to these team fights, Rogue has to play perfectly. If a fight would happen here, Rogue's starting it with 30% health. That's rough.
Wouldn't be much more than just a flash ult on one key target and hope that your team wins the 4v5 that follows after. Tapoon on the flank, being stunned here by Yuri. Teams teasing one another for positioning and priority to see, is this Drake worth 5v5ing for?
Herald to be summoned mid lane though, so perhaps PGG not even going to consider the Drake at all. They just want the charge. Chiefs, they're going to be able to get the Drake uncontested, but what is the cost here? Does a fight happen afterwards? Nautilus ult on Praetor.
Belkan is very low. Predator blocked in place. Instant flash across the wall. On towards Winter. He is tanky. Look how much damage he is not taking right now. Predator assassinated by Tapoon as he jumps in with the trains and they come crashing down with the thunder. Arthur is unstoppable. He's got so much health. And they just find the right targets at the right time.
Draku hunting for a Hex Flash. Could Hex Flash use the explosive plant if he wants, and the chase could continue?
Looking for it. Vision goes out. Yuri separated from the pack. Locked in place with the hook. Has to commit the flash to get out of harm.
Yeah, Summoner Spell gets burned here. Raze, Belkan, they're going to look at each other. Raze.
How much damage happens here? Oh no, he's just gone.
Oh my god.
He didn't hit the Featherstorm. He overestimated.
I mean,
Rather underestimated. How
you
much damage
can't
he was gonna
react
take.
to a Hecarim bolt from 200 units away. You have to predict it. Raze, Flash, Ultimate, both ready. There's a chance he wins that 1v1, but just gets done in by the damage that comes out of Belkan, which, to be clear, that is a full damage Hecarim build. This is not a chem tank Muramana or anything of the likes, right? This is straight up AD, I want to carry Hecarim build, and you saw how much damage he just did to Raze. Someone's got to do it. Belkan's just buttoned up the shirt, put the belt on, said, I'm going to work.
This is what I was brought to this region to do. Come in, absolutely smurf, redefine the meta, and just leave. No need to explain that one.
That's what he did last time.
Exactly.
If anyone doesn't know what Skimmy's referencing, in 2019, Belkan joined the league, just slaughtered the OPL, split one, won the season, went to MSI, and then left. Just a whirlwind. The guy came in and just broke ankles and left.
It just feels like one of those Giga Chad, you know, copy passes, right? Comes in, smurfs,
Just
goes to MSI, leaves, doesn't elaborate.
Just
Does
Uncle
not
Drew the
elaborate.
whole league.
Well, the 2 item breakpoints are coming across for a lot of people right now. Draku's going to try and buffer that hook, but I don't think it's going to be enough. As the rocket comes across and they spoon feed another kill into Praetor's waiting hands. Fights are taking place across the board, however, as Winter is going to do a bit of a bashing into the Rise.
Oh.
Immunes that damage. They're going to find another pick on towards Raze. He's flashed to rip back the feathers, and he could only find Rogue. Belkan is just too strong.
He's one hit Rogue though. Rogue with Flash ready, just not prepared to get literally one hit by the feathers. But there's the ultimate, there's the Flash, right? They get both things out of Raze, and they still get him again. This game has descended into a point of almost chaos, right? You've got fights happening left, right, and center. PGG making pick after pick. Top lane's just dueling 1v1. I think supreme confidence from Winter, and now he's got the Trinity Force. It's a duelist build with 2 MR items prior, so he's feeling very good for himself. This game could actually just become the Winter gap as to how PGG actually win the game. But so far, Belkan is putting in some serious work.
And he's only going to get stronger, isn't he? And he's got the increased movement speed. Ah, nice Hex Flash. It happens. It does happen. But he's got a Death Stance as well, right? Going to be immuning a lot of that damage to continue to play at that sort of accelerated pace. I do like the fact, though, touching on what Winter has brought to also highlight Yuri as well, right? He's gone down that same avenue of just being a battle mage. You know, he's got the Merc Treads, the Banshee's Veil,
Yeah,
a
he
lot
does.
of resistance to say. I just need to cycle through those cooldowns a few too many times that it causes Chiefs a few too many headaches.
And then there's Belkan, who has one goal, and that is to take out Raze. He's the only person building armor. Everyone else has got magic resistance for their lanes, for the mostly magic comp. Not Belkan. That probably will be a force of nature next, to be fair. But so far, he's got one purpose.
Back to the side lanes we go. It is that 1-3-1 issue highlight, and it is Dragu being caught in mid lane, unfortunately, for the second time. They're going to punish. It is Belkan now sitting on 5 kills, the most fed on his team. We have seen him have competition between himself and Praetor before. And that is a very fed Hecarim.
And you know, we didn't get to watch the replay of a much earlier skirmish, Skimmy, where the flash was used by Praetor and Topu and literally just assassinates him, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Using the Nara ultimate. That was the fight that I think that stood out to me the most, because that was one of the first few moments the Chiefs really came out on top, and it was Praetor not stealing his nerves. Just used the flash while Winthrow was tanking the hook for him. And that little detail you thought might add up, but what has happened from that is the flashless Jinx has been hand-wrapped and gifted multiple kills from this Hecarim.
Question becomes now, the 2 Korean imports on Pentanet have big bounties waiting to be claimed. The gold that could be claimed will put this game back on a level playing field. 22 minutes in, they both have 40k. This is for Soul Point. It's a Cloud Soul, and PGG will take that one away. Chiefs want to disengage. But PGG are hungry for blood. They're not going to make life easy for them.
Chiefs still hunting, right? They've got that Nara ready to use. They're going to find and look for flanks, for moments. Perhaps a lapse in judgment from PGG, but it's not going to happen. We are 23 minutes into this game with an all but even playing field right now. And Dragku's really the only person that's consistently getting caught out of position at this point. A couple of his deaths, to be fair, were needed and good. Topoon, though, it's his turn to get caught.
Yes, he has to TP away. The animation, the ultimate cancels it. They had to commit. He's got no backup. There's only more members of Pentanet hungry to get an assist. It's another kill for the horse. 6 kills now. Belkan really is unstoppable. Can they catch Praetor from the rotate? Nobody in the wait.
I mean, he really is the nightmare of the Rift, isn't he? This jungler, Belkan, absolute terror of the LCO. Now he's 6-1, a carry player with the carry potential in this game. Straight up is going further armor, by the way. Why go Force of Nature when you can go Dead Man's into like a Maw of Malmortius? Why
It's a
not?
better one-shot. Why not?
4th
Surely.
item, magic resistance, let's get it.
Either they die or I die. That's his mantra, clearly.
He's here for the caps lock in his YouTube video title. You would never believe the damage. He's putting in work, though. He's absolutely terrifying. And this really sets them up to succeed, I feel like, across the whole map. You know, we've spoken about the strengths of Winthra, how easy it is for him to build. You mentioned Yuri as well, with the exact same situation. Belkan ahead means that side lanes have a lot harder of a time to actually be successful, right? For both Tally and Topoon to take out Winthra is a significant time sink. And if Belkan is scary, you have to be very particular when you choose those moments. So for me, the question I have is, can Chiefs teamfight when it comes to the crunch? I do think that they have a comp that can still teamfight very well. Their scaling is still pretty solid. But it's just very hard to do against PGG's comp, right? It is a control mage mid. It is a Jinx Victor composition. And the front line is terrifyingly strong.
So it is going to be as easy as they would have imagined, right? To hit the side lanes, accelerate themselves into a position of power. They say, well, now we feel strong enough to group up as 5 and take those fights. They have the Rise Portal, they have the Volley Bear, but ultimately it's the Hecarim that is rotating a little bit too quickly with too much damage to answer back if they do find themselves lost in Africa. Here we go, though.
Engaging.
A fight breaks out around the Baron. Teasing at the idea of what cooldowns could be burnt.
Wasn't even a
Disengage.
ghost.
No.
Wasn't even a ghost. Just a Shirelius. Hecarim is just that fast. They're fighting again.
Yeah, out goes the Chaos Storm. Tally down at 50% already. Topoon locking him on the flank, playing goal keeper, if you will.
They're pushed out. The health difference here is really high. Yuri's just playing goalkeeper. Now it's going to throw boomerangs as well. I mean, this is dangerous. If Chiefs face check, they are running the gauntlet. Teleport. Oh, that's
a risky TP. That's not the TP you want. In they go, and down they fall. Rise is already dead and deleted. It's found by Rogue. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Belkan has been claimed, however, they have no smite. They hit the Zonias. Winter going to come out of that one, rather the stopwatch. An instant flash away. They'll be quite content with a 4v4. Very risky. A lot of tension around that Baron pit.
You could teleport anywhere else on planet Earth and probably have a better time because you have the Rise ultimate to get you closer anyway. I don't think he had a better teleport ward, which might be what he was thinking, but my god, that was a roughie. Just gets absolutely beaten down. The only way that teleport was viable is if it was Topu'd coming in with a Megadar ready that was stolen. They'll get the pick. Baron's not going to be taken here though, and that really is the biggest win. They managed to at least stop that from happening.
Certainly did, but it felt like that cost was high. Felt like more members should have fallen, quite honestly, given the positioning that PGG had on that occasion. But it has given Chiefs another chance to try and find themselves in back-to-back fights and entrance into the river. Question becomes, though, whether or not they're interested in the idea of a soul point. Clearly, PGG want to try and zone them away and prevent that soul coming through, but Chiefs, no doubt, have to be conscious of things like this happening, because Raze has to flash away. He's locked in place too. Draco comes across the wall, locks him down. Might be the sacrificial lamb on this occasion. And Yuri's just deleted him! Raze has gone. Flash Featherstorm, and that sort of survivability you will have on this occasion. That's the only invitation that Pensnet need now to claim this Baron.
And Pensnet.gg weren't even hunting for Raze. They were looking for the mid lane. They just happened to find him along the way. The pick happens. And this is only 2,000 gold difference between these teams, but geez, doesn't it feel like way more than that? Chiefs, they're going to try and sneak away this Cloud Soul just in time. But really, they've just opened the door to an Elder Drake.
6 minutes, and Elder is there! Okay, Taboon. He knew his position was compromised. He went for the trade, and that was the handshake. That's one Baron buff removed. Tally flashing in, cycling through the cooldowns with the cooldown reduction ramped up and ready to go, but has to leave Arthur. Can't do much more than just that, just at the range of the zap. Maybe able to just get back to base before the Hecarim comes down to gank again.
It's a conveyor belt of kills. They just continue to drip feed PGG pick after pick. Instead of just disengaging, the Volibear goes in, ult's in, flash ready. Ult could go over a bloody wall. I'm pretty sure it goes over walls. But here we are. They'll get the Baron. They'll get a 4,000 gold lead now as well. Chiefs will get the Cloud Soul, but like I said, that really just invites the Elder Dragon as a point to play towards.
If nothing else, we've got a timer set on this game for a conclusion. Every single meeting between these two, this split has gone over the 30-minute mark. That has always been a very Chiefs-sided affair. This really is PGG answering the call, saying, well, if peace can beat you, maybe we can start believing that we can too.
I mean, if ever there was a game to believe in Pensnet.gg, it'd be this one with the lead they currently have, with how good they all look individually and as a team. Toprin's terrified of the 1v1. He has to be. The comp is online, Skimmy. It is very difficult to deal with them now.
How do you stop this push? That is the question. Double cannons, Baron inspired, zoned away from the wave by the Vector. You can't flank because of the zonal pressure that the Hecarim can offer. They have kept it intact, however. Winter is still steadfast, pushing top lane on his own. 40 seconds left of this Baron buff.
It's looking like a Guardian Angel next for Belkan. Just keeping track of the amount of magic resistance the Hecarim's building. It's 0. I love it. He's not afraid. He's got one target in mind. If it's a 1-for-1, he takes it every day of the week. Nice little snipe there by Topoon. The rest of the map with a lot of dueling capabilities here as well. You saw the aggression that came out of Yuri. He's delayed a lot of the damage spikes in his scaling build just because he went for the Banshees with Merc Treads. But those are good pickups, right? It just means that now he's building towards the death cap, perhaps, towards, you know, the really big scaling item. And that's where the team fighting becomes unreasonably hard to deal with. As Victor just puts down so much casual damage.
Have they found a tech here? That is the question. Yes, Arthur counters out the Banshee's Veil. There is no trap to lock him down. Yuri survived though. That is the power of the Battle Mage with the itemization that he does have. Depth charge goes across into Belkan, but they just can't find anyone.
He's built magic resistance. He is so hard to kill. It takes so much time. They're not going to be able to do it. The force was hard from Chiefs. It makes sense having a Cloud Soul that they're able to force that hard though. Right? Like the Volibear ult in is just going to run at lightning speeds. But there's so much MR, it's just not going to be successful. And while he limps away, he comes back with teleport. Surprise, Yuri's still here in full health.
Both top laners locked in the bot lane for the meantime. Teleports have been used. They're going for a 1v1. Tally is going to lose on this occasion. And now you find yourself in a 4v4 top side, but you got to deal with the threat now of a split pushing Nile, which will keep you interested.
Yeah, he's going to back away. PGG don't have their waves synchronized, right? So now they're going to look towards the top lane inner turret. Only 3 people there versus 4. Wouldn't be surprised if Belkan has a crack or at least tries to body them out. The Chiefs are doing really well here to just keep them at bay. I think the lack of Baron makes it very difficult to play into the Zaya's feathers. So they will respect, they will disengage. Turret falling bottom, but no inhibitor to be seen. Still, PGG going to be well in the driver's seat from here on out.
Certainly don't feel pressured to push forward this game, not to take any risks, any advantages. Yes, I won the 1v1. Yes, the waves went sync, but I'm not going to greed. I'm not going to try and push to open up any inhibitor. 1 minute on that Elder. That was the invitation. That was the time we set on this game, given how kill heavy it has been with 30 to talk about.
The thing with Elder as well, though, Skimmy, that I just quickly want to touch on also is that it's the exact same timing as Baron. They might be fighting again.
Very valid point. Yuri's feeling the pressure, forced to flash across that wall. Winter is separated from the rest of the herd, not able to be collapsed upon. The mitigation of these two solo laners is just that threatening that Chiefs, even with an invitation, can't do the same as when Belkan finds somebody isolated on their own.
Yeah, really trying to push here, Chiefs, to really try and just keep PGG busy, find those picks. Still walking on vision here, however. The point that I wanted to make is that because they're synchronized, both teams don't have to go for the same objective. And PGG will invite the 5v5. Chiefs don't have to. They have a disengage epic monster to look forward to.
Every flash available except for Yuri. He's got a stopwatch, as does Tally. Zonya's available for Tapoon. And then it comes down to our Locket versus Australia. As the mitigation, the engage, the ideal target. A lot of discussion as these teams have been holding hands in the mid lane for such a long time, waiting down the countdown timer for those 2 major late game objectives.
Okay. Winter is just about to lose Mega Gnar. Praedyth was at red during the time that he just got angry, so he's now tuck it out. Chiefs, if ever there was a moment to try and look for something, you know there's going to be no Mega Gnar to be used, and Tapoon has it. They're going to hit the Elder Dragon right now. This is happening.
Baron has been ignored. The Elder is going down at a rapid race. Look at Tapoon on the flank from the blue buff, goes in, hits the Zonya's nice and early. The Elder still held in suspension, so far away from a fit of a situation. Going to be claimed by Pentanet as they burst into life and find far more kills. They've taken out Draku, and now Praedyth is on an absolute killing spree. He's got a triple kill. He's claimed the Guardian Angel. And he's going to absolutely take everybody down. There is the quad. Yes, Ray's answers back with 1, but it's just not enough with a 35-minute ace. Pentanet are in the base, and they're here to end it all.
And no one predicted it. Perhaps no one saw it coming except for the PGG voters out there, but they will be able to take down the Chiefs, and they will do so looking absolutely convincing.
The battle of the win streaks is only going to end one way. Chiefs find their 2nd loss of the split. That's for Pentanet, a late surge in the season, and now that's 7 wins in a row.
Huge dub for PGG. You can see the excitement on Rogue's face. Praedyth actually smiling. Screenshot that one quickly. No, it's gone.
We did actually mention to me on Twitter, I actually prefer the 7-win streak Pentanet narrative. Well, amount of confidence He laid down the timestamp before the game, and it has aged ever so well.
It does. He's played super well, Skimmy, and I feel like there was a couple of jitters from him in particular, but at the end of the day, like, if you ask me, I would say that was Belkan, but also Winterer. Like, that moment top lane is the point that you VOD review and just say, we actually won the game here, right? Like, we got the lead here, which was just kudos to, like, you know, self-pat on the back. We played super well.
Sure, and a game really of two halves, really, for us to reflect on, Mac, because it starts off with Raze having this insanely large lead, unable to be sort of utilized in the grand scheme of things because Pentanet are winning elsewhere, and ultimately that strength, as Rusty mentioned, was insurmountable.
Yeah, absolutely crazy game coming through from PGG, and it just goes to show how much fun we're going to be having once we get into the playoffs, because PGG, they weren't lying, they're waiting for these best of fives, and they're showing us exactly when it matters. And that's the end of the split. A couple of statement games coming through, but then look, the other side of the conversation could be, were Chiefs trying to save something? Were they trying to, you know, hide their hand before, of course, the playoffs come there? Before the playoffs come, rather. And I feel like, look, that's a good argument as well, but look, they're copping L's just when it's needed. You know, it's giving this confidence to the other teams, and if PGG start to get confident, you know that they're a team that are just going to be absolutely popping off with that confidence. So it's a scary, scary prospect for PGG to be warming up right now, especially with playoffs on the horizon.
Yeah, and I will say, I do think that I prefer the Pentanet.gg draft in this game as well. The Silas pick makes some sense, but they were just really lacking in enough mixed damage on the top side of the map, and it was so easy for PGG to play it out. They had the 5v5, they had the itemization. They did absolutely everything they can. I will say, in this last fight, Raze did 8k damage. Look how close he was to killing multiple people, but it was still a roughie, and PGG deserving the win.
And it just gets that much more exciting for me, Mac. Quickly,
Yeah.
just, I mean, sort of talking about the one of how they've not scrimmed each other. It's feeding that rivalry. The fact that they both came in with such hot form, the win streak there. You can see it almost feels like, as you saw, you know, a potential finals game, because it was really on the side of Chiefs, the Rays shown. I mean, if he had Elder, it was quite possibly him doing what, you know, the Jinx did and just killing everybody.
Just a nuts game overall. Now look, Raze had so much damage and still got outdone by Yuri, so it's good to see that he's really not only scaling into the split, but scaling in games like this as well. He was dishing damage from the start, and if we're looking at the gold diff there, from that like 20-minute mark is when it started to stretch out in PGG's favor. But even when Chiefs held that lead at the start with in terms of the kills, it was answered so nicely. It was great to see PGG were able to bounce around and react to everything that Chiefs was throwing at him, because Chiefs were really trying to be the aggressors in a lot of those early fights. And that's what we're used to seeing from PGG, right? Over this split, Rusty?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're used to seeing Pentanet.gg be like wildly aggressive around their jungler. I think the thing that stood out to me, Mac, the most actually in this game was how much their jungler was being called to action second, right? Like up until, you know, the mid-game stage where they just constantly were picking people off.
Yeah.
It really felt like it was Winter recalling teams to come to plays, you know, Rogue and Yuri moving very early to plays, and the Hecarim was just having a really nice time playing Farmville and just like occasionally came over to help out. So it felt like it was a much cleaner game from the whole team.
I also noticed throughout that game as well, Praetus was sort of being bullied towards the start, especially. There was a few times he got caught out of position, and I thought, oh, look, he's not going to have like that much impact. But then it inevitably didn't really matter, right? They all just scaled into the game. They had a comp that worked wonderfully with every single champ that was picked there. And I feel like, look, to kick off the day, that one's going to be a tough act to follow for any single one of these teams. It's completely ridiculous. Now, look, I don't have... Sorry, I've been really thrown off because Pico has been literally barking for the last hour, and it is doing my head in, and I don't know what to do because she's never done this before, and I'm all alone. Now, look, we got a interview coming up pretty shortly. I'm not too sure who we're going to have a chat with. I think we're just figuring that one out. But for the most part, look, that game was absolutely insane, and I really hope we get another few like that this evening, Skinny.
Yeah, I think it now opens up the can of worms of, like we saw from Pentanet last year, right, where they were trying to go for the perfect split. maybe it's one of those situations where you want a defeat. It's always that classic conversation starter, right? Like, you know, do you want to have a defeat before playoffs occur? Because then you can look to try and, you know, discuss what went wrong and so on and so forth before you have that sort of hiccup leading into a best of 5 where there's no chance to recover from. So I think there's multiple angles, multiple takes in this situation. But for me, it's just great to see another team that are now a consideration for winning it all.
Now look, it is time, of course, for the Dare MVP. Do we all know who it's going to be today? I feel like there's no real surprises.
No, Belkan probably.
I think it's Belkan, yeah.
Oh, well,
I want Winter to get it.
You're both wrong twice. Now, it was Yuri. Man did a lot of damage, man did a lot of work, and he got the Dare MVP. So, Rusty, you look surprised.
Oh, yeah, because I just named 2 other players that I thought would get it first. Yuri just... I mean, do you want me to gas him up? I think he played a good game.
Yeah, gas him.
I think he played a good game of League. I just really thought the other 2 were going to get it. I mean, coming into the game, we did say this was probably the place that needs to put in the most work, Mac. We did say that because Tally is very good at nullifying, very good at diffusing. But he came into today, he went clutch. That's what they needed.
Exactly what they needed. Exactly at the point to send those messages. Now, look, Skimmy, anything you want to touch on here? Ran at 66% KP, which is okay, but I think I was doing the numbers, crunching them for Belkan at the end. He was around that 90% as well, so definitely a good mention, you know, a very solid mention to him. Honourable mention is the word I'm looking for. But Yuri, of course, look, definitely.
I like a good solid mention.
A good solid mention, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, I mean, Yuri played a really well sought after game, right, in terms of his itemization to be an absolute battle mage to cycle for those cooldowns, which allowed him to have obviously such a high damage share. Big zonal threat. Anytime he'd get caught out of position, the itemization came in clutch, right? He just couldn't be taken down. So in those close quarters where you want to entertain the idea of 5v5s, every ability had been upgraded. Late game scaling control mage. It's the dream for Yuri.
It certainly is. Now, Kitty, what were your thoughts on the game? Because that one was a scorcher, and you all got your predictions wrong.
I believe you also got your prediction wrong, Max. So, you know, you're coming down with us. But someone who actually grabbed a win tonight was Belkan. So let's bring him in for the interview. Belkan, hello. Welcome to the LCO. Hello. So how are you feeling after that win?
I'm feeling now good. You know, maybe... no, it's fine. It's good.
That's good to hear. Well, after just handing Chiefs their second win, what was the key reason that allowed PGG to grab the win tonight?
Maybe we need more time, you know. Yeah, we coming Australia, me and Yuri. It's so late. Yeah, we need more scream. Is good now.
Scrimming is good. That's good to hear. I hear that Chiefs and you guys don't actually scrim a lot, so that kind of sucks because you guys don't actually get the best practice. But both Kevy and Arthur said in previous interviews, so interviews from before, that they actually think you're the most aggressive jungler in OCE. So what do you actually think of OCE jungle players?
C jungle players not bad, but 공격적이다 영어로 뭐지? So aggressive.
Very aggressive. Well, do you have anyone that you like versing in these LCO games in particular? Like someone that you think is really strong in jungle?
Yeah. 뭐라는 거야? Sorry, I don't know. My English bad, sorry.
No, it's okay, Belkan. Do you think anyone is strong in LCO, like player?
Yeah. Maybe Gudo. Yeah, Gudo is strong.
Gudo?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice to hear. Well, Belkan, it was really nice actually getting an interview with you finally. Well, I'm going to let you go and celebrate your win tonight, and hopefully we see the same performance tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much. 끝났어.
That was so nice.
What a great interview. And the beautiful clutch live translations by, I think it was Winter off to the side.
Has to be,
as well.
yeah.
So a nice little performance from the team. But ladies and gents, that was a long one, and we still have to get on to the second game. So don't go too far away. We'll be right back after this break with game number 2 on the LCO.
Looking to put on the flank from the blue buff goes in, hits the Zonia's nice and early. The Elder still held in suspension, so far away from a fit of a situation. Gonna be claimed by Pentanet as they burst into life and find far more kills. They've taken out Draku, and now Braydev is on an absolute killing spree. He's got a triple kill. He's claimed the Guardian Angel. And he's going to absolutely take every